Greetings, and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us at the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us online at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. This message finishes our series and ends as all good fish stories should with a fish fry. In order for that to happen, you've got to get out and do something. Here we see Peter's call from Jesus to go out and lead, and in return, we respond to Jesus' call to us. So we are now on this last Sunday of telling fish stories, and you can't finish talking about fish stories without having a fish fry, because what else are you going to do with fish but fry them up? And I remember some of the best fish fries I've ever been to were down in Texas. I had a group of folks down there. They were mostly retired school teachers, and they all had motor homes, and they like to get together and go out to a nearby lake, and they'd be gone for a few days or a month, or a few days or a week. They wouldn't go for a month. They couldn't quite swing that one always, but or for a week, and they would go fishing while they were out there. Now, sometime along that time they were gone, I'd get a phone call, and they'd say, "Brother John, we're fixing to fix some fish up on Friday night. Do you want to come out and join us?" And my response back to him would be, "No, I don't want to go out and join you for deep fried fishy goodness with fries and coleslaw and potato salad and pie and or cake for dessert. That's the most horrible thing I have ever heard." No, really, what I really said was, "Yes, I'll be there. What time do you want me to be there? And do I need to bring my own container to take stuff home with me?" That was what their fish looked like. It was really good. Now these were folks that they knew how to have the fish fry, because for as bad as I am at fishing, they are that good at fishing. And not only that, they had everything set up to be able to do a big fish fry with a minimal amount of work. They had almost as good as, they fried fish better than just about anyone except for Catholics during Lent. They were that good at frying fish. It was great. It was a great time to go out and celebrate, and we enjoyed it. We had good fish, we had a good time, we celebrated, we talked, we laughed, we goofed around, we told jokes. It was a great time for just being able to do that. And at the end of the night would come, and it would be time for me to go back home, and then they would fix me up a doggy bag, if you can call it a doggy bag that's going to carry fish. They fix that up for me, and I take that home with me. That was supposed to be for the next day that I would have that fish. Sometime around 11 o'clock or midnight on a Friday night, when I knew I didn't have anything to do on Saturday, I'm hungry, and pull that bag of fish up out of the refrigerator and have some more fish before I went to bed. But it was a good time. It was a great fish fry, great time to do that. Now, if you're going to have a fish fry, though, there's something important that you got to have that kind of fish fry, and that is you got to have fish. You got to have something that you can fry in there. Otherwise, it's just a fry if you don't have fish to go along with it. And so, that was where the disciples were having their issues this morning. They get out there, they get on the boat, and they aren't catching a thing. Now, that could be because there wasn't any fish to catch, or it could be that it was their state of mind at the time when they were out in this boat. Because at the start of that reading, we have Peter doing what Peter does really well, which is to kind of put his foot in his mouth a little bit and just kind of blurt something out. They're standing there, they're unsure of kind of what's going on or what to do, and Peter says, "You know what? I'm going fishing, I'm just going to go fishing." And you can see the rest of them kind of standing around going, "Well, that sounds better than any of the plans the rest of us got for today. Well, we'll just go out with it." And so they go out, they get in the boat, and they are headed out to go and try and catch some fish. Now they're doing what any of us do, which is when we are tired and frustrated, or we don't understand something, or we're trying to work through something, or we're trying to do whatever, we go back and we rely on the things that we are comfortable with, that we are familiar with, that we can do without having to think about a whole lot. For them, it was getting in the boat and going fishing. Because they had just been through Jesus' trial, his death, his resurrection, and at this point in time, Jesus had appeared to them a couple of other times, but they still weren't real sure about what was going on and what to do next. And so they were doing what they needed to do to kind of work through this. They went fishing. Now, I don't go fishing because I'd end up even more frustrated by the time I got done. But what I do is I've got a set of books, different books that I really enjoy reading. And I have those comfort foods I like to eat. So if I'm in that kind of place, then I grab those books either on my Kindle or real books, or most of the times a combination of both of those. And I go off someplace where I can spend several hours reading, or a day or two just reading and not worrying about anything else, because that's what I do. And we've all got different ways that we handle that. It might be fishing, it might be reading, it might be going for a drive, it might be going for a walk, it might be hunting, it might be camping, it might be any number of other things. I've known a number of farmers who've said to me over the years, sometimes what they've got to do is they just go get in the tractor and they go drive around the field. They aren't doing anything out in the field. They're just out in the tractor driving around the field because that's what they need to do. Now, sometimes one of them may attach a piece of equipment to the back of it so it looks like they're doing something, but more often than not, they're just out. They just need to go out and clear their heads, and that's what they do that best on the back of the tractor. We've all got something that we do that helps us to kind of clear our minds a little bit, to work through whatever it is that we're facing. That's where they were. And so that's what the disciples were doing. Now, the only trouble with that is if, what you do to relax, to kind of be able to process things is fish, and then you don't catch any fish, that doesn't help you out any at all. And so they're standing there, they've been at this all night, they haven't caught anything, when all of a sudden this guy from down along the shore waves up at him and says, "Hey, y'all," because Jesus was from Texas, and he says y'all. And he says, "Hey, y'all." Actually, what he really says "children." Now, in some translations, you'll read that it says, Jesus called out to them friends. I don't like that one quite so much. Children really is the better translation of that, because that is describing the relationship that they have with them, and it's describing what is going to be taking place. It describes what the relationship they need to have for what's going to take place after this. So Jesus calls out to them and says, "Children, why don't you put your nets out on the other side of the boat?" They're looking at each other again going, "Well, we're having you look on this side. Let's trust the guy that's standing on the shoreline. Let's give it a shot." So they toss their nets off on the other side, and pretty soon they start to fill up with fish. And they start to haul those nets in, and one of them looks over and he sees a little bit more clearly, and he sees wait, that's Jesus that's standing out there. This again is where Peter does what Peter does best. This is the part of the reading where y'all kind of chuckled a little bit because they were fishing naked apparently. And he puts his clothes back on. He jumps into the water and starts, wading through, trying to run in water to get back to the shoreline to go and see Jesus. The rest of the disciples on the boat are a little bit smarter. They're saying, maybe we should keep the boat with us rather than all of us jump out and try and go get there faster. So they're in the boat. They're making their way back in to the shoreline. Peter is up there. They haul the nets in. And Jesus is there. They're hauling the nets in. Jesus is there. He's got bread baking, he's got fish frying, and they come in and they sit down and they gather around. Jesus gives them bread, he gives them fish, and things begin, you can kind of feel almost that things are settling down. That their world is reorienting itself, that they're calm, they're collected, they're in the right place, they're there, they're talking with Jesus, they're there with these guys that they've just spent a couple of years with, walking around all of Galilee. They're in a good place now. And this is where they need to be. Now it's in the midst of this, then, that Jesus and Peter have this conversation where they're talking, and Jesus says to him, he says, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter responds back, because Peter knows the answer to this question. He responds back and he says, you know I love you. Jesus says, feed my lambs. And then Jesus asks a second time, he says, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Now this is starting to kind of irk Peter just a little bit. He says, you know I love you. Jesus responds back, he says, take care of my sheep. A third time, Jesus says, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Now, this is the part where we have to remember that where most of us have a filter between our brain and our mouth, Peter's doesn't exist. Especially if you start getting him frustrated, you start getting him riled up, Peter is going to say whatever it is that is on his mind because that's what he does. And I think Jesus knows that. And I think Jesus is intentionally kind of pushing his buttons a little bit there because he knows that if he gets Peter going, Peter is going to blurt out something. And whatever it is he blurts out is going to be what he really believes and what he really knows. And he's wanting Peter to give a wholehearted response. And so he asks that question a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter just blurts it out. You can almost see him just kind of throwing his hands up, just completely frustrated. He says, Lord, you know everything about me. You know I love you. That's why I see Jesus kind of sitting back and grinning and going, all right. And now you know it too. This is good. And he says, all right now, Peter, feed my sheep. Because now we see, this is the baton being passed. Where Jesus' time on earth is coming to an end. He's getting ready to ascend into heaven. And now he's passing this on to Peter because now Peter is the one who's going to go forward from here. Peter is the one who's going to lead the church from here. And Jesus knew who Peter was. Jesus knew what Peter was capable of. Because Peter was right when he says, Lord, you know everything about me. And Jesus is going, I know that. Peter's problem was that Peter didn't know that. Jesus needed to get that response out of Peter so that Peter would know that in fact, in truth, with all that he is, he loves Jesus. And now Jesus is saying, all right, now it's time to go. You're the one who's going to be in charge. It's time for you to go and do this thing. It's time for you to go and lead this movement that we've got started. Wasn't a church yet, because they hadn't really organized themselves in a really way. It was still just kind of a movement. It says, now you're the one to go and do this. And now Peter gets it too. And now they get ready to go forward. For us, where we go from here is this week what I want you to do, I want you to do a couple of things. One, if you get a chance, go eat some fried fish because, that's always a good idea. And I like my fried fish, so I figure if I tell you to go and do that, that gives me a reason to go and have it. But the second one is the more important one. And that is to go and be like Peter. I remember last week I said, go and find a place to pray. I'll get all my words out here in a second. Go find a place to pray where you can look out and you can see different groups of folks, different groups of people, or see places where you know people will be and pray for them. I want you to do something similar this week. Maybe go find a different place where you can look out and you can see the people that are out there or might be out there, but pray this very simple prayer. Just say, Lord, you know I love you. What do you want me to do? Just a very simple prayer, that's all it is. And pray that prayer while you're looking out over all the folks that are around there. Because God has something that he wants each of us to do. Sometimes we're good at seeing it. Sometimes we need to be just kind of like Peter and just admit this to ourselves and say, Lord, you know I love you. Now what is it that you want me to do? And see just how it is that God responds. And let yourself be guided by him and directed by him to go and to do this next great thing. So go and find that place this week. Find a place to pray. Find a place to be like Peter. To say to God, I love you, and say, now where do you want me to go? And from this, we can go forward and see these next great things that God will do. So let us go and do that and be his children in this next week. Amen.